At some point in life, everyone experiences moments of self-dislike. Whether it's because of something we've done, a particular feature of our bodies, or the belief that we're simply not good enough, disliking ourselves means we're not content with who we are. There's a sense that something is wrong, lacking, or deficient in our identity. These perceived flaws can make us uncomfortable, which in some cases can be a starting point for change. However, when self-dislike deepens and lingers, it evolves into something more intense: self-hatred. Is self-hatred truly productive, or does it usually lead us in circles? More importantly, could it be that self-hatred is often based on a delusion? Self-hatred doesn't appear overnight. It can quietly infiltrate our lives, beginning with small moments of self-criticism, telling ourselves we're not good enough or that we failed in some way. Over time, these thoughts can fester into a deep sense of loathing, coloring how we perceive ourselves and our place in the world. While self-hatred certainly poses risks, the reasons we harbor such feelings may not always be justified. In fact, self-hatred can sometimes be quite narcissistic. So, why do we hate ourselves? Is there any positive aspect of self-hatred, and how can we break free from it? This video dives into the complexities of self-hatred. If you'd like to support Einzelgänger, consider joining my Patreon page, where you can access ad-free videos, bonus content, and exclusive merch. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the video.
Keep quiet, please. Quiet.
Believing that self-hatred is a good motivator is akin to thinking that anger can solve problems. Sure, anger can sometimes push us to do things we wouldn't normally attempt, but is that progress really worth the pain and risks associated with self-hatred? While it might offer a temporary surge of motivation, the long-term consequences often outweigh the fleeting benefits. When self-hatred goes unchecked, it can have long-lasting impacts on both our mental and physical well-being. It can quickly spiral into depressive thoughts and feelings of worthlessness. Self-hatred is often linked to self-sabotage and self-destructive behaviors, which may initially appear productive. For example, someone obsessed with living a healthy lifestyle might actually be masking an eating disorder rooted in deep self-loathing. Or a person who seems driven and hardworking may be motivated by feelings of inadequacy, leading to burnout. Ultimately, self-hatred is a destructive force that keeps us trapped in misery, potentially leading to addiction, isolation, self-punishment, and even the belief that the world would be better off without us. But where does this hatred come from? The root cause of self-hatred is complex. There are many reasons why we might come to despise ourselves. Perhaps we've internalized bullying, which led us to believe we are inferior or inherently flawed. Maybe we hate ourselves because we don't measure up to societal standards of achievement, feeling like failures. Or, in some cases, we might hate ourselves because we believe humanity is inherently flawed, and it would be better if we didn't exist at all. From my own experience, self-hatred often stems from deeply personal reasons. It's a form of self-directed hatred based on the belief that we're not good enough or don't measure up. Here's a personal story. After experiencing significant success, my channel's viewership plummeted. Although I try to stay positive, there were moments during this downturn when I felt shame. Was I a failure after all? What would others think of my decline? I became angry with myself for the mistakes I made and blamed myself for not working harder, even though I was mentally exhausted. Slowly I began doubting my abilities, which eroded my confidence. I understand why failure leads to self-loathing. This form of self-hatred rooted in failure is one of the most common today. It's filled with shame, guilt, and self-blame for perceived shortcomings. The fear of judgment for lacking success is powerful. In today's society, we're pressured to achieve, and those who fail can often feel like they've missed the mark. Philosopher Byung-Chul Han, in his book The Burnout Society, explains how we've shifted from a disciplinary society which punished sinners to an achievement society that rewards success. This shift leaves many people feeling like failures, unable to become entrepreneurs, millionaires, or whatever society tells us we should be. It's no wonder this can lead to self-hatred. Feelings of inadequacy may also stem from things we cannot change, such as our appearance. Lookism, prejudice based on physical appearance, is rampant in society. People who fit the ideal beauty standards often receive better treatment than those who don't. While the impact of lookism on our lives is debatable, it's clear that feeling ugly can lead to self-hatred. Take for example the incels, involuntary celibates, who often express extreme self-loathing, believing they are unworthy of intimacy. Whether society is partly to blame for these views is up for debate, but it's evident that self-hatred tied to physical appearance can be devastating. Self-hatred can also arise from past actions, things we've done that we regret. Perhaps we've embarrassed ourselves or mistreated others, including people we love. Maybe we acted out of fear, avoiding confrontation when we should have stood firm. These memories can haunt us, burdening us with guilt and shame. Some people even deprive themselves of happiness because of mistakes made in the past. But is this really a constructive way to deal with those experiences? Interestingly, self-hatred carries a narcissistic element. The focus is so heavily on ourselves, on our perceived flaws, that it becomes all-consuming. We spend so much mental energy hating our own flaws that it becomes a form of self-obsession. When we're trapped in self-hatred, we're ironically giving ourselves far too much attention. It's worth questioning. Am I so important that I should invest this much energy in hating myself? The paradox of self-hatred is that we simultaneously hate and obsess over the very self we despise. Let me give you an example. When I was 18, I had to give a presentation in front of a large audience. I panicked, made a fool of myself, and the audience reacted sympathetically, which, in hindsight, was a bit humiliating. For years, I replayed this memory, cringing each time. But the truth is, most people in that audience likely don't even remember the incident. Even if someone does, they probably don't hate me for it. Yet I spent years beating myself up for a brief, insignificant moment. This tendency to fixate on our perceived flaws and failures is a form of self-obsession. Stoic practices, like the view from above, help us gain perspective on such experiences. When we look at ourselves from a cosmic viewpoint, we realize how small and insignificant our failures are in the grand scheme of things. When we look at our failures or deficiencies through a distorted lens, it only fuels self-hatred. A failed exam, a missed opportunity, or not meeting beauty standards might seem like monumental flaws, but they don't define who we are. Self-hating individuals often cherry-pick evidence that reinforces their beliefs while ignoring anything that contradicts them. For example, an incel might point to a woman choosing a more attractive man as proof of their subhuman status, yet they'll dismiss instances where less attractive people are in happy relationships. These warped views of reality perpetuate self-loathing. So what can we do to escape the cycle of self-hatred? Stoicism teaches us that the issue is not the circumstances themselves, but our reaction to them. There are many things we can change in life, how we look, where we live, what we achieve, but there are also many things we can't change, our past, our genetics, or what others have done to us. Stoic wisdom encourages us to focus on how we respond to these challenges rather than wallowing in self-blame. Self-hatred does nothing to change our situation, it only makes it worse. During my travels, I've met people who, by Western standards, might be seen as failures. Yet these people are among the happiest I've encountered. This just goes to show how relative everything is. If you think you're subhuman or undeserving of love because of your appearance, take a moment to look around. You'll find countless people who don't fit society's beauty standards but are living fulfilling, happy lives. Self-hatred is an overreaction to life. It's a self-absorbed state that blinds us to the reality that we are far more than our flaws and failures. Instead of dwelling on our perceived inadequacies, we can choose to focus on what we can change and embrace a more constructive way of living. Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said that the poorly instructed person blames the world, the beginner blames themselves, and the wise person blames neither. Self-blame is not only unhelpful, it's unreasonable. Instead of hating ourselves for our faults, we should focus on how we can move forward. Thank you for watching.